Hello student, I am Dr. Ajay Kumar Sinha, Professor of Chemistry. Today I am going to discuss new chapter, structure of atom. The atomic theory of matter was first proposed on firm scientific basis by John Dalton, a British school teacher, in 1808. His theory was called Dalton's atomic theory, regarded the atom as ultimate particles of matter. Experimental observation was made by scientists towards the end of 19th and beginning of 20th century. These established that atom can be further divided into subatomic particles like electron, proton, and neutron. A concept very different from that of Dalton. The major problem before the scientists at that time were four major problems were there. First, to account for stability of atom after the discovery of subatomic particles. Second, to compare the behavior of one element from other in terms of both physical and chemical properties. Third, to explain the formation of different kinds of molecules by the combination of different atoms. And fourth, to understand the origin and nature of the characteristics of electromagnetic radiation absorbed or emitted by atoms. Now I am going to tell about the subatomic particles like electron, proton, and neutron. Dalton atomic theory was able to explain the law of conservation of mass, law of constant composition, and law of multiple proportions very successfully. However, it failed to explain the results of many experiments. For example, it was known that substances like glass or ebonite, when rubbed with silk or fur, fur, generate electricity. He was not able to explain. Now just come to the next term, discovery of electron. In 1830, Michael Faraday showed that if electricity is passed through a solution of an electrolyte, chemical reactions occurred at the electrodes. Electrodes means anode and cathode, which resulted in the liberation and deposition of matter at the electrodes. These results suggested the particulate nature of electricity. An insight into the structure of atom was obtained from the experiments on electrical discharge through gases. We need to keep in mind a basic rule regarding the behavior of charged particles. What is that? Like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. In mid-1850, many scientists, mainly Faraday, began to study electrical discharge in a partially evacuated tube. That tube is known as cathode ray discharge tubes. A cathode ray tube is made up of glass containing two thin pieces of metal called electrodes sealed in it. The electrical discharge through the gases could be observed only at very low pressure and at very high voltage. The pressure of different gases could be adjusted by evacuation. When sufficiently high voltage is applied across the electrodes, currents starts flowing. This is important. When sufficiently high voltage is applied across the electrodes, current starts flowing through a stream of particles moving in the tube from the negative electrode, that is called cathode, to the positive electrode called anode. These were called cathode rays or cathode ray particle. The flow of current from cathode to anode was further checked by making a hole in the anode and coating the tube behind anode with phosphorescent material, as for example zinc sulfate. When these rays, after passing through anode, strike the zinc sulfide coating, a bright spot on the coating is developed. Same thing happens in a television set. The result of these experiments are summarized as, actually there are 4 observations I am going to tell. First observation, the cathode rays start from cathode and move towards the anode. This is the first observation. Second, these rays themselves are not visible, but their behavior can be observed with help of certain kinds of materials, as for example fluorescent or phosphorescent, which glow when hit by them. Television picture tubes are cathode ray tubes, and television pictures result due to fluorescent on the television screen coated with certain fluorescent or phosphorescent. Zinc sulfide, I told you, that is a best example. Now I am going to tell, that is the third one. Third result or observation is like that: in the absence of electrical or magnetic field, these rays traveled in a straight lines. And fourth is, in the presence of electrical or magnetic field, The behavior of cathode rays are similar to that expected from negatively charged particles, suggesting that the cathode rays consist of negatively charged particles, and these cathode rays are called electrons. And last point, that is the fifth point, or you can say these things results from this experiment. Last point or fifth point is like that: the characteristics of cathode rays, which is called electrons, do not depend upon the material of electrodes and the nature of the gas present in the cathode ray tube. Thus, we can conclude that electrons are basic constituents of all the atoms. Today, I am stopping only here. Today is the first day of the periodic properties of, not properties, structure of atom. New chapter I have started. Then now next class we will continue this chapter. Okay, thank you.